All right, let's get right into it. We're not just looking at another tech conference. No, we're talking about a specific moment in 2026 when the entire global conversation around AI got turned on its head. This is the story of the India AI Impact Summit and the birth of what everyone is now calling the New Delhi paradigm.
And look, that's not some kind of hyperbole. The summit was described as exactly that, a foundational shift. Think about it. This was the first major AI summit ever hosted in the Global South. So it didn't just, join the existing conversation, it completely changed the rules of the game. So where do we even begin? Well, with this idea of a new global AI order, and the key thing to grasp here is this massive pivot in focus, a shift away from just talking about theoretical risks to actually concentrating on real-world, tangible impact. And this really breaks it down perfectly. The old way of thinking, the one that came out of meetings in Bletchley Park and Seoul, was very much led by the global north. It was all about these abstract, long-term, what-if scenarios. But then, boom, New Delhi happens. And suddenly the conversation, now driven by the global south, is all about pragmatic, on-the-ground impact. How can we use AI to solve problems right here, right now?
And we're not talking about a small get-together. 118 countries showed up. That is a huge number. And what it did was position India as this crucial new bridge in the world, connecting the high-tech ambitions of the North with the very real, very urgent developmental needs of the South. Okay, so let's get to the philosophical heart of all this, because it wasn't just about changing priorities. It was about introducing a whole new way of thinking about AI. And that's this idea of a human-centric vision, all wrapped up in a new doctrine they called MANAV.
So what is MANAV? Well, first off, the word itself is Sanskrit for human, which is just perfect, right? The entire point is to make sure AI serves us, not the other way around. It's also a handy acronym for 5 big ideas: moral, accountable, national sovereignty, accessible, and valid. Let's just quickly unpack that, because it's basically a roadmap. First, moral means building ethics and fairness in from the very beginning. Second, accountable. You need to have transparent rules and actual oversight. Third, and this is a big one, national sovereignty. Your data is your data. Nations and citizens have to control it. Fourth, accessible. AI can't just be a toy for the wealthy. It has to be a tool for everyone. And finally, valid, meaning AI has to operate within the law. Simple as that.
And there was this great analogy used by Prime Minister Modi that just nails this whole concept. He compared AI to a GPS. It can suggest the route, it can show you the possibilities, but you, the human, are still the one driving the car. You decide where you're ultimately going. It's such a clear and powerful way of saying that we need to keep human beings in control.
Okay, a powerful vision is great, but talk is cheap, right? So what gave this whole thing teeth? Well, that brings us to the power players and the big money. Let's look at who showed up and the pledges that put some serious weight behind these ideas. I mean, get this. This wasn't just a meeting of tech geeks. 20 heads of state were there in person. That is a huge deal. It was a signal that AI governance has officially graduated. It's no longer a niche policy debate. It's now a core issue of national security and economic sovereignty for the entire world.
And you know what happens when the world leaders show up? The money follows. An estimated $100 billion in investment commitments were made. So yeah, this wasn't just lip service. This was a massive financial bet on this new, impact-focused way of doing AI.
And just to give you a feel for who was in the room, you had President Macron from France talking about digital sovereignty. You had Brazil's President Lula pushing for multilateral governance. You had key figures from the UAE, from the United Nations. It was this incredibly diverse and powerful coalition of leaders.
And it wasn't just politicians. The people who were actually building this AI revolution were there. I'm talking Sundar Pichai from Google, Sam Altman from OpenAI, Sir Demis Hassabis from DeepMind, not to mention industrial titans like Mukesh Ambani. The absolute heaviest hitters in tech came to the table, ready to listen and align with this new vision.
But whenever you try to pull off a shift this big, there's always going to be some friction. It's never perfectly smooth. So we have to look at the other side of the coin, the chaos and the controversy. Which, of course, begs the question, was it a flawless success? Well, the short answer is no. History-making moments are rarely clean and tidy. They're usually pretty messy. And on the ground, things got messy. With over 250,000 visitors, there were reports of organizational chaos. And the irony is just amazing. At a summit about the future of tech, the Wi-Fi was so bad that digital payment systems were failing.
There are even some wild stories. A startup claimed its AI wearables were stolen, and get this, a university was kicked out for trying to pass off a Chinese robo-dog as their own invention. You really can't make this stuff up.
And the criticism wasn't just about the logistics. The politics got very heated. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi didn't pull any punches, calling the whole thing a disorganized PR spectacle. And he voiced a much deeper fear, that this was really about putting Indian data up for sale to global corporations. It just shows you how politically charged this whole AI conversation has become.
So you've got this grand vision on one hand and this chaotic reality on the other. What's the lasting legacy? Well, that brings us to our final section, trying to define what the New Delhi paradigm actually is.
The biggest thing to come out of the summit was the New Delhi Declaration, which was structured around these 7 chakras. And they cover everything from skilling people for new jobs to making AI safe and trusted. There's even a focus on something they call frugal AI, the idea of building powerful AI that doesn't need massive data centers and tons of energy. That's a real game changer, especially for the developing world.
And beyond the declaration, a major geopolitical move happened. India formally joined Pax Silica. It's a clever name, right? Like Pax Romana, but for the silicon chip era. It's a US-led coalition focused on making sure the supply chain for semiconductors and AI is secure. This is a huge strategic step, tying tech development directly to national security. But honestly, one of the most amazing things to come out of this was the public engagement. They actually set a Guinness World Record. In just 24 hours, they received over 250,000 pledges from regular people for AI responsibility. That shows a massive level of grassroots buy-in to the summit's mission. So here's where we're left. The New Delhi Summit drew a line in the sand. It made a powerful, global declaration that artificial intelligence has to serve humanity. Period. The paradigm has shifted, but now the truly hard work begins, as the entire world has to figure out exactly how to make that a reality.